I need something funny. Well, I present to you perhaps the funniest article of the day, published by USA Today. I'm tired of being mocked and hated because I'm a conservative woman. And I'm going to read it in that voice. This is by Nicole Russell.
Thanks for doing the good work. Fuck the establishment.
Hell yeah, Dragon Warrior. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Very much appreciated. I'm tired of being mocked and hated because I'm a conservative woman. As a conservative woman living in Texas, I often feel like I'm living a dual reality. I'm a mom and a writer, but that's not all. I go to church, laugh with friends, and wave at my neighbors while we are walking our dogs. At dinner, my kids and I discuss the Beatitudes, the Bill of Rights, and the best and worst things that happened that day. We call them highs and lows. I love to cook, hate to clean, and probably need to have a better morning routine. My life is similar to millions of other women in America. Can I just start? Can we just start? Bitch, I'm a mom and a writer, but I also go to church and have friends and walk a dog. Really breaking new ground there, aren't you? Before this woman, women never walked dogs. It was impossible. Their ankles couldn't support their weight.
Conservatism is a choice, and a cruel choice. If you are so damned conservative, take responsibility for your choices. Stop being triggered and weak.
True, one-eyed heathen, but also, like, have you considered that maybe we're just being too mean to conservatives? Have you guys ever considered that we're being too mean to conservatives? Like, they walk dogs. They get up in the morning and put their pants on one leg at a time, just like you guys. You have so much in common. I bet she eats food brand food. Okay, I mean, just like you, she also discusses the Beatitudes and the Bill of Rights at dinner with her children. Just like everyone does, right? That's a very normal thing every day. You got to talk about those two things, and then you talk to your children about how their day was. I just no. Amazingly, this is not an AI writer. This is real. This is actually real. I actually had the same thought, so I looked it up. And trust me, this bitch also be writing other articles, and they're also dog shit. But online, in the legacy news media, and in my increasingly ugly inbox, I live in a different world. In that world, I'm portrayed and viewed through a singular lens, my conservative beliefs. As such, I am easy to hate, mock, and scorn.
Laughing at her and crab snip snip snip, crab emoji.
Alexa Crab, thank you for the $5 super chat. I am far from the only woman who experiences this abuse. Progressives claim to value women, but they routinely demonize conservative women who refuse to conform to the molds that the left tries to force us into. That's not only bad for women like me and for our society, but it's also a poor reflection of reality. Tens of millions of American women embrace traditional values and conservative ideas. We are more than our politics. Bitch, what are your politics?
Sociopaths. They're out walking their dogs. They read a book, just one. They watch TV. They eat their Soylent Green. They cover up their scales one leg at a time. Sociopaths. They're just like us.
Can I can I
I
find
mean, when you advocate for the deaths of millions of people, yeah, people gonna hate.
One-Eyed Heathen, thank you for the $5 super chat. And Paladin Lost, thank you for the $10 super chat.
Do you want to tank? Do you want to fight? Do you want a class that'll instill fright? Take up some plate and keep the goblins inside, because you want to make sure they eat this paladin smite! Fuck you, gods. If you want me to play your game of ethics, you can kiss my shiny plate mail. Alright, fine. Wait a minute, what the hell is that noise?
Can I just say, I haven't read it all yet, but I'm getting the vibe that it's exactly this guy's like this is like the white conservative woman version of like this guy specifically. Anyway, I feel like it's very like her life is like, why are you hating me? I'm just doing these are all of my very normal morning routines. As if it's not just like pure psycho shit, you know? Like actual Patrick Bateman, like as a conservative woman shit. Also, again, just to reiterate, what conservative beliefs are you being ostracized for? One might ask, what you doing? Like, she's basically a Karen. She's like a next level of Karen. You know, a Karena. You know, if we use the Pokemon naming convention. He's hot, I guess. Is he though? I don't know about that one. He's ripped as hell. I don't know that he's hot though. Yeah, states' rights to do what? I would love to hear her answer. Anyway, we are more than our politics. The demonization of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The Washington Post provides a recent example of how conservative women are so often demeaned and patronized in the mainstream media. Last Monday's profile of White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, written by reporter Kara Vaught, drips with condescension, starting with the headline, "In Caroline Leavitt's world, Trump's world is enough." Leavitt is a 27-year-old devout Christian and conservative who has been an excellent spokeswoman for President Donald Trump's agenda. But the Post tried to smear her faith, personality, and confidence from the start of the article. Quote, Trump's newest press secretary is radiant, blonde, and apple-cheeked, as if one of Leonardo da Vinci's Madonnas has been styled for a Fox News hit. Her delivery is righteous, if a bit smug. God gives everyone gifts, Leavitt believes. Hers is speaking. And for roughly a half hour, once or twice a week, she delivers Trump's word to a room filled with professional skeptics. If the trivializing of an accomplished woman wasn't so disgusting, I'd laugh. Can you imagine the Post smugly diminishing a progressive woman or man as radiant, blonde, and apple-cheeked? Leavitt isn't the only conservative woman to recently receive the Post's patronizing treatment. A profile of Second Lady Usha Vance began with this sentence. Much of what we know about Usha Vance, we know because her husband told us. Never mind that Vance is an accomplished lawyer who clerked for Chief Justice John Roberts on the U.S. Supreme Court. Ignore that she graduated from Yale University with a law degree and a bachelor's degree from Cambridge with a master's. Brush aside that she served on the boards of Washington National Opera and the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. We only know, according to the Post, what her husband allows her to tell us. This is honestly like some of the most deranged shit. Literally, this Post is just complaining about media not glazing these women enough. Why didn't you list out all of their accomplishments? Why didn't you do that? They're an independent woman who don't need no man. Why'd I do that? There we go. Another post-news story, a profile of conservative influencer Alex Clark, published the day before the elections in November, is laced with opinionated and condescending observations. Clark, for example, is accused of engaging in conspiratorial thinking about the food industry, consistent with the right's Trump-inspired paranoia about deep state master planning. Just real quick, I'm going to Google influencer Alexa Clark. Okay? I'm gonna Google this and just look. Okay, so she works with Turning Point USA, and she calls herself a health and wellness girly, and hosts a podcast called Culture Apothecary, and she only eats meat. So yeah, it's so unfair for someone to talk about how this bitch is super granola in nature, despite the fact that she only eats meat. Meat granola. By the way, guys, in case you're wondering about the whole confluence between the wellness spirit sciencey types and the Nazi types, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly how they bridge you into all of this conservative shit. Yeah, the Vita Carnis granola. God, I'm upset that I have to know that this exists. Anyway, each of these profiles is written or co-written by Vaught, who worked for Mother Jones and Rolling Stone, both ultra-liberal publications, before joining the Post as a politics reporter. The disdain for conservative women isn't confined to the Post. Recent Salon headlines have been even more pointed in their attacks, including this one: the misogynist agenda of Make America Healthy Again moms. Maha moms. Conservatives aren't just wrong, you see. They hate women, including presumably themselves. Which, yeah, you do. You literally advocate for you yourself to have fewer rights. That takes a level of self-hatred. If you think you deserve fewer rights as a minority in this country, you are some degree of self-hating, yes. I don't want to be associated with her. Can she stop? Unfortunately, no. She has a full-time gig at USA Today. Salon also gave us this affront to good taste. From Mar-a-Lago face to uncanny AI. Art. MAGA loves ugly in submission to Trump. The article by senior writer Amanda Marcotte is filled with cruel attacks on the appearance of conservative women in leadership positions, including Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The article includes this gem: drag queens also embrace outlandish gender performance, but it's to subvert rigid gender roles instead of reinforcing them. That, plus your typical drag queen, knows how to make 5 pounds of makeup look cool instead of gross, but they won't share their secrets with the ladies of the GOP. Drag queens are cool. Conservative women are gross. That is what passes for journalism in 2025. Tune into ABC's The View. Like, can I just, I feel like this is someone who, like, for whom that particular article hit a little bit too close to home. I don't know what this lady looks like. So all I'm saying is that it sounds like she's salty as fuck about being called out for the amount of makeup she uses. Like, fair. I use makeup, I get it. But also, like, I don't know, you have to be comfortable with people disagreeing with you. Or at the very least, comfortable fighting their ideas. Because let's be clear here, this entire article is not putting forward any argument other than, I don't like these ideas because they're uncouth. That's it. That's it. They're just rude. So therefore, stop. But like, conservatives don't give a shit about being rude. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you elected the guy who wanted to kill civility politics. You killed it. Congrats. Now fuck off into the sun. Bye, bitch. God. Or at the very least, go back to whatever sexless marriage you currently don't enjoy and leave the rest of us alone. You don't have to spread your misery. God. I've been watching The Handmaid's Tale. I know what those look like now. Ugh. All right. Continuing on. Tune into ABC's The View to see the progressive hosts, all women, rip on the conservative women in the Trump administration. No one is more misogynistic to conservative women than liberal women. Again, the irony would be funny if not so disgusting. Hey, just quick one here. Criticizing the political views of women is not misogyny. If you're criticizing conservative women for being conservative, that is not misogyny. The same way, supposedly, a conservative woman could criticize a liberal woman without engaging in misogyny. That's presumably possible. I am not saying it in this article, but it's presumably possible. It just seems like you'd be engaging with the ideas, and this is just saying, oh, they're engaging with our ideas, and I don't like that. Maybe don't have hateful ideas then. And you know what? I will be slightly misogynistic. Don't actually engage with the substance of the ideas, bitch. Nailed it. Nailed the misogyny. God. Vaught and Marcotte are part of a bevy of legacy media reporters who seem to be liberals first and journalists second. That bias has destroyed the news industry's credibility, but perversely also has hurt more than helped their allies in the Democratic Party. Oh man, you don't give a shit about the Democratic Party? But yes, you're definitely totally nonpartisan here. Yeah. Conservative women are denigrated for their beliefs. Yes, because their beliefs are bad. What part about that don't you get? They're not denigrated for being women. They're denigrated for having shit ideas.
Speaking of Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood has done some interviews about current politics and her book. They're on the tubes.
That's cool. Thank you for the $5 super chat, One-Eyed Heathen, and the recommendation. For all their flaws, for all their flaws, Democrats used to promote tolerance and inclusivity. They used to say they embraced women's rights. But tolerance apparently doesn't extend to many women who exercise their right to form their own beliefs and to vote for candidates of their own choosing. In progressives' eyes, these women, conservative women, deserve to have their accomplishments devalued and their appearance mocked. Can I just say, this is some, like, you criticized Joseph Goebbels for his policy and said that he looked like a dipshit. How dare you? How dare you engage in that misandry? Oh man, you living in Nazi Germany, you dare criticize Joseph Goebbels? Based on his appearance, the misandry is breathtaking in its scope. Man, like, fuck off. Seriously. Jaeger Larson, thank you for subscribing over on Twitch. How dare you make fun of Goebbels' funny-looking feet? He has very normal feet, actually. You know, by criticizing Goebbels' feat, you're actually harming the Jewish cause. That's right. How dare you engage in this backwards misandry? It's crazy. Like, this is actually insane. I am tired of being the butt of jokes and scorn because I'm a conservative woman and a mother. I'm sick of legacy media acting like women such as Levitt, Vance, and me are an anomaly. And I'm done with seeing progressives in politics and journalism spew hate at women for embracing conservative political and social values. Nicole Russell is a columnist at USA Today and a mother of 4 who lives in Texas. So just real quick, again, I gotta be honest. No one in liberal spaces, no one in socialist spaces, no one in leftist spaces takes issue with people being women or people being mothers. That is not a thing people are upset about on this side of the spectrum. What they are upset about are your political views, because they're bad and wrong and incorrect and wrong and bad. So just throwing this out there. I also, just out of curiosity, because I could not believe this article was real, I wanted to look up one of her most recent articles, and I found this one that was published in the St. Cloud Times by Nicole Russell as well, and it's titled "Trump Has America on the Right Track," and it was published on March 30th. So let's take a look at this, shall we? It was easy to hate Donald Trump when he jumped from reality TV to politics a decade ago. In 2015, Trump campaigned for president as an obvious populist. Personality over party, policy, and even country. He positioned himself as a conservative, but he really wasn't one. Instead, Trump claimed that he was the miracle vaccine that would cure what ailed America. MAGA fans couldn't get enough. After January 6, 2021, I really disliked him. And as the 2025 campaign began, I didn't want to support a former president who wouldn't cede his election loss and who had a sordid personal history, including his mistreatment of women and a felony conviction. He also whined on social media like a 9-year-old boy who'd lost gaming privileges. I thought there were stronger Republican candidates who would better embrace conservative ideas, but Republican primary voters chose to back Trump in 2024, and he picked an excellent ally and then Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as the vice presidential candidate. By then, the choice was obvious. Support a guy who hates leftism, or support far-left progressives who would push America even further into decline. Our elections are binary, despite what my libertarian friends think, so the choice was clear. But by now, 2 months into Trump's second term, I had expected to be embarrassed and outraged by our new president, but I'm not. I'm pleasantly surprised. Actually, my mind is blown. I feel lucky that I have been a witness to some of the most radical changes ever attempted in the federal government, and in an extraordinarily short amount of time. There are times when moderation makes good sense, but the current domestic and international climate calls for drastic changes. Maintaining the status quo was not tenable. We needed a leader to aggressively make changes on many fronts, including the economy, the size and reach of the federal government, and America's approach to foreign relations. You know, it's amazing how this lady dances around the actual, meat of her topic. Trump is reforming government and restoring liberty. Americans who are alarmed by Trump should recognize the significance of the nation's decline under progressive leaders. President Joe Biden drove the country to the far left, losing control of our borders, driving up the budget deficit and the national debt, and imposing a progressive social agenda that ignored what most Americans believed. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz were even more progressive. That is a typo of colossal proportions, and would have made it even harder to turn the ship around. I will say here that just a quick note, if any conservative tells you that they care about the national debt, understand that Donald Trump ballooned it by $8 trillion during his last term in office. The idea that he was the guy that was going to bring down the national debt is absolute fucking horseshit. So, just as an FYI, in case you ever need a barometer for like how absolutely loco these people are, did she literally just call Joe Biden a leftist? Yep. Because that's where conservatives are. They think that like Joe Biden was like a Maoist communist. You know, that's what they believe in their world, you know? And like when she's talking about the progressive social agenda, she just is like gays can get married and like trans people can exist without being assaulted on the street. You know, like those are like the progressive ideals that are too radical for her. America's quest for liberty is not exclusive to a 248-year-old revolution, identifiable by redcoats and taxation without representation. Tyranny is the fuck that she fucking wrote this. I'm sorry. I'm triggered. I'm a lib. I got triggered, you know? Socialist. I got triggered. America's quest for liberty is not exclusive to a 248-year-old revolution identifiable by redcoats and taxation without representation. Literally right now, the president has stolen the power of the purse from Congress. We are literally right now getting taxation without representation. That is what the president stealing the power of the purse means. It's fucking insufferable and insane. Tyranny is now trickier to spot, but it can be found in far left ideas embedded in federal aid programs. If that's what tyranny is, not that. Tyranny is government oppression. Tyranny is not far left ideas. You need to actually have an argument for why those individual ideas are bad. Understand what this type of conservative thought is doing. And that is very specifically ignoring and bypassing arguments against it. They're just saying, oh, that's bad. Ignore it. You actually have to argue against it. And the reason they choose to ignore it is because they don't have an argument. God, I hate this bitch. Not because she's a woman, but because she's bad and has bad ideas. It can be found in far left ideas embedded in federal aid programs, higher taxes, and attempts to infringe on personal liberties. Yeah, higher taxes on billionaires is tyranny. Fuck off. Seriously, go lick more boots. You know, she's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man to lick boots. God. Republicans have bought into these efforts at times, but Democrats are far worse. Trump presidency isn't normal, and that's a good thing. My litmus test for Trump's efficacy isn't whether he passes the normalcy test. He's already failed it. Mine is simply this: is Trump supporting ideas and policies that make my family and me more free? Love him or hate him, Trump is doing exactly that. Yeah, for your rich-ass family. Fuck you. Trump and Congress are putting together a plan to extend his 2017 tax cuts, which will enable Americans to keep more of their money and fuel economic growth. Except if you look at the actual effects of those 2017 tax cuts, they just made the rich richer. They did not trickle down. The benefits of those tax cuts stayed with the rich. It did not make America richer. It deepened our debt by $8 trillion. The debt that you presumably care about. This is how you know conservatives are full of shit when they talk about the national debt. It's because they go completely brain dead when it comes to increasing the national debt by another $8 trillion so they can have a goddamn tax cut, even if it's at the expense of Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. Even if it's at the expense of tens of millions, if not over 100 million Americans. These people are fucking evil. That's why we hate you, bitch. It's not because you're a woman. It's not because of your lady-like activities like walking dogs or talking to your children. It's because you support policies that would immiserate tens of millions of people, bare minimum. It's the kind of policy that would evict 66% of the nation's elderly from their senior care facilities. That's why we fucking hate you. And you'll do that happily while whistling for a tax cut and a pat on the head. It's monstrous. Absolutely monstrous. Absolutely insane. We're not done yet. I'm just taking a breathing break because I'm mad. With Elon Musk's help, Trump and Congress are putting together a plan to extend his 2017 tax cuts, which will enable Americans to keep more of their money and fuel economic growth. With Elon Musk's help, Trump is finding and eliminating government waste and overreach. It's been a messy process, and I wish Trump had used a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer, but his efforts will restore our government to its original purpose, empowering and not hindering Americans. Yeah, we need to get rid of all those regulations that keep buildings from collapsing. Yeah, so good. Hey, remember when contractors skipped a bunch of building regulations in a skyscraper in Florida and it just collapsed and killed a bunch of people? That was great. We should do that with more buildings, I guess. Hey, remember all those regulations that kept us from dumping sewage into drinkable water supplies? Hey, remember that? Remember how we all liked having drinkable water that didn't have sewage in it? Oh. Oh, yeah. We're getting rid of that too. Well, I hope this lady enjoys shit in her water and forever chemicals in her water. I'm sure her children that she loves don't need clean water that isn't tainted by shit from corporations looking to make more money. I'm sure she thinks it builds character because she's a monster. God. In less than 3 months, Trump has revitalized military recruitment, protected the ability of women and girls to compete fairly in sports, and secured our nation's southern border. And you know what? I'm willing to bet this lady voted for Trump specifically because of trans people. I bet that she specifically, a large part of why she voted for Trump was because of trans people. She just hates trans people. So many people fucking hate trans people. It's crazy.
Thanks for reminding me to take out trash and recycling after a quick fridge clean out. The trash nature of this article reminded me. Thanks.
You're welcome, One-Eyed Heathen. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Border crossings are down 94% from last year. That is so extraordinary that few on the left or in legacy media have even broached the subject, preferring to downplay the crime, drugs, and other massive problems that came from Biden's chaotic border policies. Except, oddly enough, the drugs aren't down because we were transporting the drugs the entire time. You fucking idiot and asshole. Trump's leadership, while not traditional, also has helped return hostages to their families, astronauts to Earth, and common sense to public schools. Is Trump a disappointment to some? Of course. But even CNN this week had to acknowledge that the American people are still aboard the Trump train, with the president's favorability ratings actually rising since he was elected in November. For the first time in a long time, show that an increasing number of Americans believe the nation is headed in the right direction. Ah. Is that even true? Just real quick. Huh. Odd. Amid recession fears, Trump's approval rating starts to fall. As per the latest Harvard CAPS Harris survey, 49% of registered voters approved of Trump's performance, down from 52% last month. Jesus Christ, 52%. You know, like, genuinely, what's going to move that down to like 30 or even high 20s is like egg prices. She checked his approval rating on January 21st. Damn. Yeah. But like, dog, when people start seeing in like another month or two that prices are not going down and that in fact all of the things he's been saying are, yeah, things are going to get more expensive, get fucked. Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, well, you can't really impose a 30% tariff on like everything and expect prices to go down, can you? God, it's embarrassing how utterly unconnected people are. According to Marist, 45% say we're on the right track. Harry Etten, CNN's chief data analyst, said March 25th.
If prices go high enough, can I go back into the closet and become a de facto billionaire?
I guess so. Dragon Warrior, thank you for the $5 super chat. That's the second highest that Marist has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004. The bottom line is the... Can I... Wait. That's not... How? No. I'm sorry. What? Literally, Obama had one of the highest approval ratings in recent years. I guess if you just ignore all of Obama's approval ratings, is she just outright lying? Or just straight up that delusional, I guess? God. Or I guess this is Harry Etten from CNN. At which point, I guess I just need to discount anything that bitch says. The bottom line is the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. Those numbers really shouldn't surprise anyone. From taxes to the economy to the border to the government efficiency, Trump is driving ideas that will restore liberty and promote prosperity. This reads, can I just say, this reads like someone has a gun to her head off screen and she's reading like a hostage letter to the camera. That's how this reads, except it's like a written op-ed. I've never seen someone achieve that. Like the fervent, like, completely glassy-eyed delivery of a cultist. God. Traditional Republicans and progressive Democrats might be the biggest losers in Trump's second term, but the biggest winners are Americans who love liberty the most. Yeah, except, yeah, you guys all love liberty the most. That's why we're banning books about slavery from military classrooms. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you love liberty so much you're banning teaching kids slavery. Fuck off. Honestly, disgusting. She could have used AI. I don't think she used AI. I think this is 100% genuine, just absolute insanity. Okay, never make me read anything by this lady again. That was actually one of the most infuriating experiences of my life. Is this article an April Fool's joke? No, it was published 2 days ago. God, I hated that. I hated every part of that.
I'm reminded